Welcome to another exciting episode of New to Vero 2. I'm your presenter, Shabu RU. And today we're going to talk about something that I'm actually going through myself, and that is debating between the modern G.I. Joe figure versus the vintage G.I. Joe figure. The debate is which one to collect, and that is actually an open, debatable thing that we're not going to come to an answer to. I reached out to some new friends and people with a lot more knowledge than me. That's Hooded Cobra Commander 788, Carson from 3D Joe's, and Micheal Mercy from his channel. Now, when it comes to collecting vintage G.I. Joes, there's different price points and different categories. For example, we have Wild Bill here. Yeah, you could actually just get the figure by himself, or you get the figure with the file card, or the figure with file card, figure, and accessories that comes along with it. Every single aspect of it has a different price point, so depending on your budget and what you're trying to do, it's all out there. And then there's the modern G.I. Joe. This is Snake Eyes from the 25th anniversary collection. And right off the bat, the feel between the two and the looks are different. For example, this modern Wild Bill feels like it could go through the ringer. I mean, I could send it out on countless battles and it'll come back pretty much intact. The modern 25th anniversary and the modern figures, not so much. These things aesthetically are wonderful to look at. The sculpts are fine, but they feel a little bit delicate, to be honest with you. And the parts are so small that you right off the bat know that this wasn't made for a kid to play, to send out to battle. This is for an adult collector, and this is for someone that's going to use this as a display piece. Where this is the real deal Holyfield, you know what I'm saying? We could take this and, put it through the battles. The debate is this, I don't have as many G.I. Joes as I do with Transformers, Voltron, the things that I grew up. In an earlier video, I talked about how G.I. Joe was more for the big kids. I was still into the Thundercats, Transformers, He-Man. I was the little brother, quote unquote, so to speak. While the big kids, I watched G.I. Joe, the Sunbow series, and I had some of the toys, but again, I didn't read the comics. That was too grown up for me. So I'm actually coming into this first pissed off at Star Wars because of what they're doing to the fans, and also I just don't like the Disney stuff. I have stopped collecting Star Wars altogether. So G.I. Joe has been a wonderful breath of fresh air, and I'm having a blast collecting G.I. Joe again. And so going back to the original question, if you were like me, a regular Gen Xer, looking to pick up some pieces of nostalgia, what route do you go? And what's the best for you? And as much as I love the modern versions, there's just something about the old ones, guys. I love them. This feels like my childhood. This feels like I'm trying to capture my childhood. So that's the difference right off the bat. So basically this video is, you could put in your comments down below. What would you do? Would you rather get the modern versions of the classics, or try to go on eBay and get the classics themselves? And I'm going to give you some example right here in the retro room. So in my my G.I. Joe section, I was able to acquire these carded figures. The classic Storm Shadow, version 1 of Snake Eyes, Scarlet, Lady J, version 2 of Snake Eyes, a weird version 1 of the Baroness. It's sort of kind of not. You got to mix these two Baronesses together. And then, of course, Cobra Commander. If you're collecting G.I. Joes, I agree with Hooded Cobra Commander 788. You have to have a Cobra Commander. That is not for the debate. But I've also started setting up my displays dioramas. And if you see, I've noticed that the vintage figures, they could be displayed with the vintage vehicles. So the figures and the vehicles could be displayed together. The only problem I come into is when I want to mix vintage and modern. They don't look right together, so therefore I think they should be displayed separately, and that's what I'm going to plan to do in the future. Um, so I think you could get away with the modern figures when you pair them up with the vintage vehicles, but again, I wouldn't recommend you mixing vintage and modern together. It just doesn't look right. Um, so I have this set up so far, and I do want to get more GI Joes. Like Hooded Cobra Commander 788 went over Recondo. I wanted Recondo and I wanted Beachhead. And the debate was, should I get the modern version of Beachhead or should I get the classic? And I ended up getting the classic, the vintage one, and at a lower price point because I was missing accessories, and I was able to find the 6 accessories for cheaper. So when you add them together, I still come out ahead versus the overall collecting all in one type of deal and spending a lot more. So that's basically my topic for today. Modern versus vintage. Which one would you collect if you were starting fresh or starting if you don't have as much? So let me know what you think and comment below. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye.